don't forget to go give him a like and like a comment to help. Not that I think he needs it, but like it's still like we still stand our legendary drops. All right.
Imagine everybody telling you how useless you are while still demanding that you buy their stuff.
Yeah, that's the craziest part of some of the recent games. Is that they make them so bad, and then they gaslight you and scream at you that you're the problem. Like what? Like what's the, like, what are we talking about here?
You know, 5 years ago they said that $70 was the new normal. Now they're eyeing $80 games. Microtransactions have infested everything.
Let's be honest here. They're not eyeing 80. They're eyeing 100. Like, they already said the quiet part out loud. Like, some of them have already said, like, we're hoping GTA 6. GTA 6 is already putting censorship in its thing. There ain't no way in hell it's gonna sell. Especially if they put it at $100.
Mobile gaming's gone nuclear. These guys have brought in billions of dollars off
of
our spending and then poured 2 to 3 times as much into absolute garbage. And after
garbage, like super garbage.
After all of that, an entire generation just stopped buying games. We're about to watch the games industry bottom out and lose the back end. Years of financial pressure shoved onto players.
Yeah, GTA is probably gonna die. Battlefield looks promising though. I'll say that. I'm thinking about that. Might be one of the shooting games that actually gets me back into shooting games. I'm gonna be so trash. I haven't played a real shooting game in like almost 20 years. I used to be so good at them. I'm gonna be so trash. I'm gonna be so trash if I start playing it.
Games being torn apart and sold back to us piece by piece, all to keep their shareholders happy, all about to flip. And it's not because of some new trend or protest, it's because Gen Z isn't buying. And not out of choice, they've just been priced out of the hobby entirely.
They've been priced out of the hobby, and they've also been attacked and gaslit and told like you're a terrible person for not buying said game or something. And what they don't realize is a lot of Gen Z gamers are just like millennial gamers. They like what they like, and if you don't bring what they like, they do not arrive to your location.
Locked out of an economy, handed debt instead of jobs, and scam after scam ever since they became adults. You know, every time that I've ever talked about any of these video game industry issues, whether that's spending...
My most favorite game, shooting game when I was little was... I loved... What was it called? Serious Sam. I like... Because these are the games Papa played, and I would play them because they had them. I liked Serious Sam. I liked Battlefield 1 and 2, I think. I tried Duke Nukem. Didn't really like that. I liked Doom. My most favorite shooter, which I was really, really good at, and like actually thinking about going competitive with it, was because I would just dominate the lobbies. Was what's it called? Quake. I loved Quake. I played Quake Arena and Quake 2. What's that game? I'm trying to remember. It has the Redeemer, the big nuclear, like, you control the bomb. You shoot the nuke and then you can control where it goes. What is that game called again? Unreal Tournament. Yes! I loved Unreal Tournament 2 and 3. 3 was my favorite. Oh gosh. That game was fun. And then... what's considered a shooter? Games like Quake, Unreal Tournament, and stuff like that. Ratchet and Clank was fun. I used to play Ratchet and Clank a lot. I don't know if I would consider that a shooter, though. I mean, I suppose, like, the main focus is on shooting. But you have the wrench, and you have the, like, a lot of wackier weapons and stuff. I did like Ratchet and Clank, Deadlock. That was pretty fun. Yeah, that's a 3D platformer more than it is a shooter. I've never played RoboQuest. But yeah.
Pricing or anything else, it's always been that it's not that these guys can't do any of this stuff, it's just that they're too damn aggressive. They're moving way too fast, they're asking for way too much, and they're outpacing their own customers to the point that they're lapping us. But today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about why younger players are spending a fraction of what their older counterparts are, and why.
And what's the crazy part is, you're trying to appeal to the younger generation, and you're trying to ignore the older generation, yet the older generation still spends money on games, but there ain't much in the AAA area. They're spending more on indie.
That number just dropped even further. We're also going to be digging into how this industry has been burning through its audience faster than it can replace them, and why this might be the moment that it all.
I might quit one of the only like off-stream gotchas I play, which is Grand Summoners, because it looks like they took out the 99-cent bundle. So there's no way for me to get paid gems anymore. Because I'm not spending $200. I'm not spending anything over $10 on anything. And I love that game because it still had an actual microtransaction that didn't even feel like a microtransaction. I still considered that free to play. If all you spent was $1 a month, if that, like sometimes I'd even skip it. That's crazy.
Falls apart. You know, I thought we had it bad. These kids are cooked. I feel like I've been sounding the alarms for the better part of a year now, pointing out every crack in the hull before the ship hits the rock.
This game looks interesting. The game he's showing right now, I've thought about playing that.
Hell, Activision is out here channeling their inner Titanic by openly stating that they think Call of Duty is, quote, too big to fail.
I wasn't going to say this, but they've already had a controversy where someone was clearly cheating. They have kernel-level anti-cheat. But yet there was a person clearly playing and cheating. This is why I will not use kernel-level anti-cheat. It's not helpful. It doesn't actually work. You don't have the right to look at my computer, like, that deep. Like, if there's an anti-cheat you want to turn on when I turn on the game, sure. That's fine, because that's just about the game. Kernel level, that's overreaching, and I don't like it.
While apparently completely unaware of the generational iceberg every publisher is about to slam into. Now, before we get too deep into the why, let's start talking about what's actually happening. In an article from PC Gamer written by Stevie Bonifield titled, "New Study Shows Gen Z is spending way less on video games than older gamers. Young people can't even afford gaming anymore." They write, young people are so strapped for cash right now that even video games are too expensive for them. A June study by Circana, first reported by the Wall Street Journal.
To give you an idea how strapped for cash they are, the only reason I'm able to afford it, honestly, is I forgo food. I forgo food. And I make more than the average Gen Z player. Barely, I'll bet, but there ain't no way in heck that these kids are affording it. With all the other stuff they have to do.
Found that spending a month.
And if they're being smart, they're trying to save it while not going to college, because I can't, in all honesty, suggest college. With all the people that have gone to college that I know in my friend group who can't get a job with their degrees. No.
Among 18 to 24-year-olds dropped by 13% from January to April 2025 compared to last year. Video game purchases were hit particularly hard, falling nearly 25%, according to a chart Circana's Matt Piscatella shared on Blue Sky. For context, Piscatella shared another chart comparing the drop in spending among Gen Z to spending changes in older generations. The difference is dramatic. Where older generation spending dropped less than 5%, Gen Z's is plummeting. It's particularly surprising to see such a sharp drop in spending on video games, which historically cater to young people. Now, to reference Matt Piscatello's post directly, video game spend among 16 to 24s is down sharply. Young grads are having a much tougher time finding jobs. Student loan payments are restarting for millions of borrowers. Credit card...
Look at the things that went up. Look at the things that went up, and that'll tell you that Gen Z is smarter than millennials when it comes to, like, prioritizing. Plus the fact that they keep increasing the prices of video games. They've gone up on accessories. Accessories could be anything from, like, phone straps to hair products and stuff. Oh, no, wait. They have prestige beauty, so that could be that. Small appliances be, like, phones, microwaves, stuff that's, like, super important. Technology, that's always going to go up. Furniture got way down. Sports equipment. So some of the Gen Z is like realizing that if I can't go to college, maybe if I'm really good at sports. Apparel and then prestige beauty. So they know they need to look good. They need to be well equipped and stuff like that. But everything else, way down.
Delinquency rates have risen to their highest points since before the pandemic.
Oh wait, that's not even us. That's their age group. Other age groups did all the other stuff. Okay.
Overall, purchasing by 18 to 24s has plummeted, especially...
You prefer PlayStation way more than Steam and Nintendo? Here's the problem. PlayStation has shown that they're about to start doing some of this stuff too. The only reason I support Steam over these other places is Gabe has shown that they are customer first.
When compared to other age groups. Now that's already bleak, but here's where it gets critical for the games industry. Back in March, a separate study showed that Gen Z and Gen A already make up 28% of all gamers. Millennials just falling right behind them at 26%. The difference between the two of them is that only 18% of millennials reportedly spent nothing on games, while more than double that number of Gen Z gamers spent nothing at all. And when they do spend, it's less across the board. Just 35% of Gen Z average more than $10 a month on microtransactions compared to 50% of millennials.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm one of the millennials that's in the ballpark that we're the same as Gen Z. We're not spending money on microtransactions. The only microtransaction I bought recently was for Bazaar. That's it.
And remember, all this data came out before the latest spending drop, which means that right now, younger generations are probably spending less than half of what their older counterparts do. Now, we add this to the fact that older generations are aging out of the hobby, playing less, sticking to older games that were aimed at them, spending less money, and you have a spending collapse that is going to pull the rug right out from underneath the industry. And I do not see this getting better because nothing about the conditions for younger generations is going to improve anytime soon. I mean, I know it's practically a generational tradition now for each one to call the next one the problem, too lazy, too soft, unmotivated, doing something that the older crowd doesn't like. I'm a millennial. I heard it all. We lack work ethic. We're technology obsessed.
And this pisses me off. This would always piss me off. No matter how hard millennials tried, we'd always be called lazy. Or like, we'd be told you're not trying hard enough or something like that. When we were the generation that was literally pushed out of jobs because we were quote unquote lazy. Yet we were the hardest working generation. We tried. We tried our very best. And then like, let's forget about the half of millennials that like buttered up, kissed up, and like pretended to know what they were doing, and now they're the reason half of the game industry is failing. Because they don't actually know what they're doing, and they like very cringe things. Like, I apologize for my generation. At least the half of my generation that's an idiot. But like, to be fair to them and us, all millennials tried. They tried so hard. We millennials embody the song that they tried so hard and got so far, but it didn't even matter. Because some millennials got like crazy good jobs. We're still called the laziest generation. Yeah, we were the ones saddled with all the debt, saddled with all this other stuff. We're the ones blamed for it. You'll wonder why a lot of us are alcoholics, died in ditches, or are crazy people. I'm surprised any of us had kids. And the ones of us that did have kids aren't actually raising our kids.
We didn't respect authority. We weren't loyal to our employers. We were entitled, narcissistic, which I always found.
We just wanted decent wages. And we wanted what we were worth. And we would leave the job if it wouldn't give us that. Like, I don't see the problem there.
Hilarious considering that those traits supposedly would be coming from the people that raised and educated us. It's basically just them criticizing their own work, but at least we could escape it. We had the internet at the time, which still felt like our own. Gen Z doesn't. They live under a constant torrent of criticism for things entirely outside of their control.
Take bets, take odds. Which one of these guys lives at home right now at age?
I think that, most men with even an ounce of testosterone would find this a touch demeaning.
It is demeaning. A lot, like, females and males don't want to live at home. Hey, Kylo, thank you for the follow. Link, welcome to stream. Hope you have a wonderful time in the Dragon Cave. Here's the thing. A lot of millennials would love to move out. Myself included. We'd love to move out. But here's the thing. We can't even take a loan out that would afford us a house because of how expensive houses are right now. Because Blackwell bought up all the houses and makes them rent houses. And now they're trying to sell them at small losses. You're still overpricing the houses because you made it where we can't afford houses.
To bring back shame in this country, Josh. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, you would have to waterboard me like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to get me to admit that I'm a stay-at-home son.
But I'll tell you this, leave it.
And I like how they call them stay-at-home sons. Like, you guys know me. I may still live at home, but I am definitely not a stay-at-home dragon. I do everything I can to support. I pay rent. Like, I even kind of overpay for rent. Like, compared to my other friends. Like, some of my other friends still live with their parents, and they pay almost nothing in rent. Like, one of my friends, he pays $200. I have a friend that's a girl that only pays like $100. Hear me over here spending almost $400 on rent. Like, I'm telling you, millennials don't like this.
To Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. But there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order door.
No. Here's the thing, Alan. A lot of millennials didn't want that. Especially not me. I just wanted a 1 bedroom. I didn't even care if there was a separate bathroom. And it was like $1,000 a month. Which at the time, even working full time, I couldn't afford. And then it went up. It's like $2,000 per person, per room. Because they know that people split the rent. So they're pricing it based on how many rooms there are.
Dash, and therein lies a big part of the problem.
I'm gonna crash out. They need to put me on the news. How can you blame them? We've seen nothing but headlines of companies switching to AI and automation. Microsoft just laid off 9,000 people at Xbox to build AI infrastructure. Fast food joints are running with skeleton crews and robots. Kids are graduating from college to find their entry-level jobs don't even exist anymore or somehow now require 5 years of experience.
They're getting out of high school. Can't get an entry-level job. They're getting out of college. Can't get an entry-level job because your job is filled by an AI and you need so much experience in a field to get that. And they won't count your college degree. As much as boomers want to say that that's what they do, they don't. They literally expect you to have that much years of experience. And you know what they want you to do? They want you to come into these unpaid jobs called, what are they called again? They're like, apprenticeships or something? I'm not working for you for free. Heck no. I know how you treat your paid employees. I ain't coming in free.
Their degree, which was told to them was their one ticket in life, is now useless. They are saddled with debt. They're being spawn camped by college costs, DoorDash, and buy now, pay later scams because they can't afford to buy anything outright. They've been scalped, Dropbox, pulled into pyramid schemes.
What's hilarious about the buy now, pay later is it could work, but because of how it's done, it's gonna fail.
Into gambling on crypto and spam with sports ads at every given turn. They're careening towards it.
Crypto is a lie unless you're very rich. And if you're very rich, you want to sell it, not buy it.
The future with no real hope or relief, and the best thing that society can give them is a mix of finger-waving Karens and some pull yourself up by your bootstrap Andes that are lecturing them for not wanting to swim in the pool that they just pissed in. These are the dipshits that are running the world right now, and it's fucking embarrassing. I feel for you younger generations because they pulled the exact same shit on us. Back in the early to mid 2000s, they camped us in high school, shoved us towards college, funneling kids into for-profit schools with unaccredited degrees, jacked up tuitions, and fake job placements.
And yeah, he's right. There are fake job postings now. You'll find a job that fits your criteria. You'll apply to it. You won't ever hear from them. And if you do, they'll say, oh, we already have it filled. Or they'll say, like if you call the place, like a smart person would do, they'll be like, the people that are actually working there will be like, we have a job posting? Or they'll say, oh, we're not hiring anyone right now. And then you'll ask her like, wait, but there's this application right here. And they'll be like, I wouldn't know anything about that. Weird, huh?
That's all to manufacture hundreds of billions of dollars in debt. And then when it was all exposed as a scam, well, we were still labeled as the entitled ones in the workforce. It is wild to me that this is still the message that older generations want to push. Shame younger workers, demotivate them further instead of actually doing something useful. Things like bringing back vocational training, teaching real financial literacy in high school, or telling young men.
I was actually taught some stuff near the end of my high school years that stuck with me. Like, I actually had a real business person that worked in both the CIA and in finance. And he said that a lot of these jobs are just going to start putting out fake jobs. You're not going to find a job soon. He suggests you don't go to college because he said unless you actually know what you fully want to do and are willing to spend a lot of money, it's not going to help you in the outcome in the short term.
That they can make serious money as operators, electricians, pipe fitters, boiler makers, or in a dozen other trades where they can meet coworkers that will become like family, easing both their financial and their social burdens. But no, keeping them financially disadvantaged is a lot more profitable for these guys. That's why I don't see things improving, not for younger generations and definitely not for the games industry. If you can't afford rent, you're not dropping $70 on a new game release or $20 on a Fortnite skin. You're thinking about the next meal. You're playing games for free if you even have time to play, or you're just finding cheaper hobbies altogether. So my question is, where's the relief supposed to come from an industry that's already outpricing its current user base when the next wave of customers can't even afford to walk in the door? Console prices are already north of $500. Games are being pushed at $80. Microtransaction bundles are just about the exact same price. Last year, we saw almost 19,000 games release, and nearly 150 of them were AAA and AA. Split that in half and average it out to $30 million for AA and $150 million for AAA, and you're looking at $13.5 billion invested in games, and likely even more this year. The spending is insane, the demands are insane, and instead of pumping the brakes, they're just flooring it right into the wall.
I was working during the pandemic. Got laid off because my job wasn't one of the super important jobs. Got a at-home job. Worked that for a bit. Went back to my original job. Moved on to a manager position. Crazy crap happened. Moved on to another management position. Crazy crap happened. Moved on to a third management position. Tried to transition into night audits. Did that for a few years. Well, actually more than a few years. And here I am.
I mean, beyond that, whether you have the money or not doesn't really matter because it's just not worth it anymore. The quality has dropped so far that when people can't afford games, there's less of a reason to bother. Publishers have convinced themselves that going wide, making every game for everyone, stuffing in every mechanic, every identity, and every message somehow is going to make their games more appealing, when all it's done is just made their games boring, bland, and forgettable. The reason that their games aren't selling right now is simple. It's because they suck and they're overpriced. Why would I pay $70 for Assassin's Creed Shadows when I could go pay $40 and play Black Flag? Why?
That's what I'm saying.
Why would I play Starfield when I could fire up Fallout 3 with mods and make it look current gen? For veteran players, there is less reason than ever to buy. For younger players, it's financially impossible. And that's the exact reason why these companies are so against things like stop killing games or digital ownership, because they don't want us sticking to the games that we already have. They want to force us into the next thing, whether it's worth it or not. But here's the problem with that strategy, especially given the financial conditions that a lot of people are in right now. When people...
Well, no, it's not to convince you not to play games. It's to tell you, like, to explain why these companies are out of touch. Some of these companies just keep wanting to increase the price of games when there's so many reasons for them to decrease. Like, who of you remember when they were like, oh, if we go digital, we can sell games cheaper? I don't remember there ever taking down the prices of those games. I'm pretty sure always digital has cost the same amount as physical. And then there was the whole, like, microtransactions make it more affordable. Do we still have microtransactions or do we have macrotransactions?
Feel pushed, they push back. So if you're going to price your customers out of the hobby, if you're going to make the games that they own
here's the thing, Alan. Here's the crazy thing. The only reason games cost more each year to make is because they've exacerbated that situation. They've caused that situation. They've forced that situation. They constantly push for, like, next-gen graphics and next-gen this and next-gen... Most gamers don't actually care about that. They just want a good game that looks okay. That looks decent. There's a reason why Path of Exile does so good. There's a reason why Elden Ring did phenomenal. There's a reason why Baldur's Gate did so good, and yet all these games, they cost a fraction of what these other AAA games are costing.
accessible, well, they're just going to find another way like they always have, whether that's buying used, whether that's emulating, whether that's just pirating these games. And I don't think that's a genie that you can try to put back in the bottle. You can clap down on it as much as you want, but
Balatro, made by one person, did amazing. Expedition 33, made by a lot fewer people, with a few help from outside sources, and even not even that big of help on those teams, did phenomenal. Costed a fraction. Like, say what you will, like, say if you like them games or not. Those are proof that gaming did not increase. Pal World was indie. Cost a fraction. And it's still being worked on.
folks will find a way to crack these games eventually, especially when they're motivated enough. And a lot of people are going to get very motivated very soon. This is a grave that you dug for yourself. In a lot of cases, you're still digging. No wonder these guys want us to get rid of our digital privacy.
They want to get rid of your digital privacy because they want to stop you from playing your own games. Like, say what you will about piracy. Piracy is 1% of, I would say, let's be generous here and say 30% of piracy is people actually stealing the game. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, it's probably not even that. Because I know a lot of people that do it, and they already have the game bought. Or they bought the game previously. Or they buy the game later. The piracy is not actually losing you money. A lot of cases, it's making you money. Because the person's like, let me try this game out. They try it. They like it. They're like, okay, yeah, I'll buy this game. That's literally how it goes. Like, I know a lot of people would like to defend these big companies and say, no, they're not buying the game, actually, or, like, yeah, like...
Wonder why. Never solutions, only stopgaps to protect themselves. That's all these guys have ever used, while also at the exact same time jacking up prices on their customers and putting so much...
That's the other problem. They're slowly whittling away how many people will buy their game. What a lot of these companies don't realize is the lower your price, the higher your profit margin. Because less people are going to buy it when it's higher price. And there hits a certain point where it's so expensive that less people are enough people have not bought it that it equals a bigger hit than if it had been smaller. Like, to give you an idea, if it had been if they had charged $50, they'd have made 20 million. But since they charged 70, they only made like 15 million. You see where it hits that equilibrium? There's this like small little line, and they've went past it, far past it, and then they're trying to push even more past it to hit even more people that won't be able to buy it.
Pressure on them, and things are spinning so wildly out of control that this is one of the few times that
Yeah, and like you don't even own the game right now at this point. You're buying a license to play it, and you pray they let you keep it for long enough to get your enjoyment out of it.
actually don't see a clear...
Physical media is more important than ever because these companies will not let you own anything. Because they've realized that their old games are sabotaging their attempts to give you crap. They started trying to push away physical media.
Happy birthday to Bocos Beanbag Couch.
Oh my god. Shut up. Well, that's you. Essentially, there are some people that'll play that game for years.
Picture for what they could do.
There are games on my shelf right now that I would love to play
in the future to be able to protect themselves or save themselves outside of cutting their budgets insanely and also slashing the prices of their games. But we know that that's not going to happen or happen fast enough. And I'm sure a lot of these guys are probably thinking to themselves, AI is the answer, but
it's not the answer.
The issue there is you're cutting the rope at both ends. People need jobs to be able to buy things. So if there's less people with jobs, there's less people buying products.
I still play PS1 games.
And on top of that, we know that
I play Nintendo 64 games.
Savings that they're going to get from switching to AI is not going to be passed down to the customer. That's not going to happen. It didn't happen when they switched from physical to digital, so why would it happen now? If you're in your 20s or younger and you're watching this channel, first I'd like to say, great taste. But beyond that, I try to do my best to be able to promote the trades as much as I possibly can. Because
like, see, he wants to promote these games. He wants it. But some of these games do not give him that, like, ability.
Because it helped me when I was in the lowest point of my life. I didn't think I had a future.
That's the problem, Alan. That's the issue. They're not even physical copies. They're digital. They're just put on the disc to make you think it's physical. There's no difference between the digital and the physical because they forced that. Do you need internet to play Sonic DX? No. Do you need internet to play, let's see. Assassin's Creed 1? You shouldn't. But they've arbitrarily added the thing in where you have to log in. Physical may end, but I don't think it should. There are a lot of companies that are starting to do this thing where there are some companies that are adding this thing where they're literally going out of their way to sell a physical copy with everything on the disc. No need for the internet. Like, it's limited runs and stuff, but they're selling out.
I think I had anywhere to go, and then I found my way into the construction industry, and it gave me the ability to chase a dream like this later on down the road. And I cannot recommend the trades enough. It's some of the greatest people.
A lot of PS1s still work because they were very well made. Boop to boka. No.
Incredibly difficult to break into. I'll give it that. There's a lot of nepotism. You got to know somebody in a lot of cases. Unless you're from like smaller cities and areas. Usually those places are, you know, looking for folks. Literally every hall that I had ever worked with was desperate for young folk. Because in most cases, they had guys that were in their late 30s, 40s, and 50s, and that's all they ever had, and they just had nobody else that was younger, and they need guys to be able to carry stuff. It's good money, it's honest money, and a lot of people over the course of time have tried to vilify it as much as they possibly can, and I'm going to be honest with you, that's because they're trying to keep you financially down. That's what it is.
It literally is.
This is going to move fast. Very fast. Millennials, while being better off than Gen Z, they're not that much better off. And they're not so much better off that they can support the entire industry as we know it today with its current costs and how much it's monetized. It's just not going to happen. And you know, the funny thing is, the more I think about it now, when I look at a lot of the games that have failed over the last couple of months or last couple of years now, any of the games that weren't aimed at us, millennials, failed.
Any game that wasn't aimed at millennials failed because Gen Z is not interested nor has the money. And millennials are the only ones still willing to put forward the cash.
Badly in a lot of cases. And the reason why is because they never had another generation to be able
Alan, please tell me you were joking.
to catch them. So if they were aiming for somebody else, they just straight up missed because those guys didn't have the money to be able to buy the games. These guys are screwed. These games take too long to make, they're too expensive to make, and while these guys are flailing around trying to figure everything out, indie's just gonna come in and steal the scene.
Indie's just where it's at right now. Indie still cares about what the gamer wants.
In fact, they already have. Now, I want to make this clear. Younger generations not buying games is not a passing trend. This is an industry-wide survival issue, at least for the modern games industry as we know it, because Gen Z is just the start. The generations that are behind them are going to have even fewer job prospects if things keep going this way. That means that when millennials are no longer the industry's core spenders, there won't be a replacement audience with the same buying power. And I think some publishers know this, or most publishers probably do, especially since they're the ones that are also contributing to those jobs disappearing. But given their size, the cost of their games, and the way that they operate, it's almost impossible for them to avoid a crash. I mean, the answers that these guys came to were live services and subscription platforms like Game Pass, Ubisoft Plus, PlayStation Plus, and more. On paper, the reasoning seems relatively solid. Make free-to-play games and offer subscription services to be able to lower the barrier.
Oh gosh, Stealth, I love that. The reason why they started spreading that message is because they don't want to give that level of quality. Because they want the lowest of low margins to make the most money, to make their little line go up for their investors. Which a lot of these companies, big companies, don't realize that if they went private, they'd be fine. Because gamers would support them.
Of entry, but the costs of running these services do not line up with the content or the monetization that they're delivering, and I think the result of this is going to be pretty predictable. Games and services that are aggressively monetized, overpriced, and have underwhelming offerings that struggle to be able to keep people engaged. With live service games, moderate success is not going to be enough in the future, and relying on them alone is only going to cause more issues down the line. I mean, right now, the entire model is to make the game for free and then to charge heavily for everything inside it. Cosmetics, weapons, playtime in some cases, $20 to $30, sometimes even over $100. And as costs start to rise and profit margins start to tighten, those prices are going to get pushed even higher to squeeze their players harder. And the more games that start to flood the market that are like this, the prices are going to just keep climbing to be able to justify their operating budgets. And the higher the climb, the less players are going to be willing to buy.
And for those of you that are saying that, like, Baldur's Gate 3 was a bad game, it wasn't a bad game. You just like turn-based. That's fine. There are some games that will not appeal to you. Here's the problem. Not enough games are being made that appeal to enough people. And then the games you like aren't being given a spotlight because they don't care. Like, some turn-based games may be enjoyable. Some games to you. It's really a matter of opinion and a matter of what you enjoy. The fact of the matter is, Baldur's Gate 3 appealed to a lot of people. Even some people that didn't like turn-based liked Baldur's Gate 3 because of its freedom and stuff. And that is, like, what these companies don't want to give you is freedom. They don't want that because that takes away the autonomy they have in terms of charging you more for stuff. When you make a game that everyone likes, you've made a game for no one. Baldur's Gate 3 was not made for everyone. It was pretty close to being, like, succeeding in that area. But it focused on the turn-based players. Because it was D&D. And it knew D&D players especially love turn-based for the most part. That is why that appealed to them. That is why they did that. Like, I can understand screw freedom in terms of, like, you want to know where to go and stuff. There are games like that are still made today, even in indie. And we're not saying make all games super free and, like, super open world. I'm not saying that was why that's what I meant by freedom. I meant in the terms of you had autonomy over the game. You could do what you wanted in the game if you wanted. Or you could do what it told you to do.
Given economic conditions, so publishers are just going to start responding by making those purchases more central to the experience. Free cosmetics.
And you enjoyed it, and you play it. It's an old game. Play it.
Cosmetics are going to be deliberately made to look worse than paid ones. We already see that right now. Progression is going to start to get locked behind paywalls. Items are going to come in with built-in advantages. Bit by bit, the games are going to be not about playing them anymore. It's just going to be about spending, and eventually people are just going to start walking away. I've always looked at Korean pay-to-win live service games as a microcosm, a accelerated version of where the Western AAA industry is headed. And if you take a look at a game like Lost Ark, great gameplay, the world looked really cool, and it had all the markings for a top-tier MMO, but almost every path to progression was time-gated or paywalled, or in most cases both. And while whales are going to spend big, you still need casual players to be able to keep that world.
You need free-to-play players and casual players because they're the people that are the reason the pay players stay. Say it much as you want, but that is the reason. The paid players are pay so they can look cool in front of the free-to-play players. If the free-to-player doesn't enjoy being there, if you can't keep them happy, you're not going to keep the paid players happy because all the free-to-play players are going to leave. And then who is the paid player impressing? No one. Who is the paid player showing off to? No one.
Feeling alive when every single meaningful reward in a game is locked behind a price tag. No achievement is going to feel worth anything. The game just isn't fun, and eventually most players are going to hit the same wall and just say, why am I even playing this game? Now, on the subscription side, the only way to be able to make that offer appealing is to run it at a loss and front load it with as much content as possible. We already know that Xbox tried this with Game Pass, spending billions on AA and indie titles, but all it did was create the illusion of content. Many of those games were just filler that nobody actually wanted to play. Sure, there were a couple of hits, but not enough to be able to justify the service, at least not for myself. And that means that they have to lean on their AAA blockbusters to be able to keep people subscribed, which in turn then cuts directly into their sales. And now even Game Pass is facing a content problem. Developers are openly saying that if your game is struggling, Game Pass is the place where you want to go. But if your game has a real sales potential, well, you want to keep it off that platform. Either way, content issues are not the bigger problem that they're headed towards is the undeniable fact that the prices for their services are going to continue to climb and likely out.
Yeah, AAA is dying a dog, Steph. Like, it's dying violently. Super violently. Like, they keep pushing it. Like, you may not like indies, and you may love AAA. But I'm sorry, that is not the majority view. The majority view, the silent majority, does not like it how it is. They like indies. They hate AAA. And that is showing.
Customers, especially for some of these younger generations.
Like, I'm not going to say all AAAs are bad. And I'm not going to say all indies are good. But, like, you have to make concessions to things you don't like. If they are not the majority view. Because it used to be, AAA was the thing. And Roy's right. Right now, 99% of AAA are just trash. I think the only recent good AAA that's come out, or is coming out, is this Battlefield that's coming out. That's why I've looked at it. Like, I'm actually thinking about getting it.
They've already gone up, and their operating costs are continuing to rise, so they're going to go up again. Their only alternative is to be able to find new ways to monetize, just like their movie and TV counterparts, Netflix, Hulu, Disney. We'll see ads, tiered access, and more. They're going to pass those increases down to the customer, but the problem with that is that people will tolerate price hikes and ads and things like that if there is value there. When the quality starts to slip at the same time that the bill is getting bigger, that's when subscribers start to walk. It doesn't matter how large the library is. If people feel like they're paying more for less, they're gone. It's like I said earlier, the only option that they have is to offer actual value, better games, while also slashing their budgets and their prices. But a lot of these companies think that AI is going to be the magical fix for everything, but all that's going to do is just make the underlying problem even worse. People don't have jobs or disposable income to be able to buy the games or products that they're making. So what's going to happen? They're just going to overcommit like they always do, just like they did with live service, just like they did with subscriptions, just like they did with every single trend that we've seen over the past couple of years. The quality will slide, the audience is going to start looking elsewhere, and honestly, they already have. One of the biggest breakout trends that I've noticed over the past couple of years is the rise of indie friend slop games. Accessible, easy to play co-op titles.
I love friend slop games. I really want to play Peak. I think I've ran everyone in the ground with Repo. I love it so much, but it's ADHD slop. And I know it. What do you mean? Do something cool. I'm not cool. Danger.
That are made on no budget at all, that are pulling absolutely absurd numbers. Lethal Company, Content Warning, Chained Together, and more recently Repo and Peak have blown up purely through word of mouth and viral clips, hitting sales and player numbers that would make most AAA games cry. Peak sold over 5 million copies in under a month and hit 100,000 concurrent players on Steam. Repo sold 15 million copies in under 6 months and nearly reached 300,000 concurrent players on Steam. They all share two things: cooperative play and, more importantly, price. Peak was launched at $7.99, Repo was launched at $10. Both games cost less than a fast food meal and are cheap enough that you could buy copies for 3 of your friends and still pay less than a modern AAA title. And it's not just friend slop. Across the board, some of the most popular games dominating both sales and conversations have been from small studios or even solo developers. The common thread isn't the genre, it's the price and the quality of the experience. I said it on Twitter recently when people were complaining about how Mafia Old Country doesn't have swimming, but I said that too many games go wide instead of deep. I don't need a game to do everything. I need a game to do a handful of things really fucking.
That is exactly the point. I don't care that I can't swim in a game like that. Not even what I'm interested in. It's a Mafia game. Who the hell is swimming in a Mafia game? Why are you wanting to swim in a Mafia game? Do you think the Mafia went out swimming? No.
Well, that's exactly what these indie titles are delivering right now. They don't have year-long roadmaps. They're not trying to be everything for everyone. They're built for the people that they were meant for with the soul.
And that's what I like. They're not there for everyone. It's there for a few people. Like, you may dislike this idea, but wait until a game comes out that applies just to you. That applies to the demographic you subscribe to. That applies to stuff you love. Then you'll be like, oh my god, I'm glad this is here. It wouldn't be the thing if just AAA was having...
of just being...
Variety is the spice of life. A very smart person once said.
Fun. Peak is a game about climbing and cooperative fun with your friends. It doesn't need complex mechanics or RTX ray trace shadows and reflections. It just needs to be a goofy, memorable experience that delivers on an $8 promise. And yeah, people like to complain about how many roguelikes and crafting games that we've seen lately, but a lot of those games have succeeded for the exact same reason. They give players exactly what they want from that style of game. Sure, they'll add their own twist or their own style or maybe their own art or their own world or whatever, but they never overreach, especially for the price. These games are cheap, focused, they deliver exactly what players are looking for, and you can't say the same about the AAA industry. With the path that they're on right now, I'm not sure that we ever will again. And that's the real problem for AAA, because they built their entire business model around chasing an audience that's already shrinking and pricing themselves out of the next one that's coming, and they're ignoring the part of the market that's actually growing right now. While they're busy inflating their budgets, leaning on AI, and locking themselves into decade-long development cycles, smaller studios are eating their lunch right now with games that cost less than a fast food combo, and they're making a heck of a lot more people smile. What I think adds a lot more pressure to this situation is it doesn't just concern the video games industry. It doesn't just involve the video games industry. It's pretty much worldwide and industry-wide at this point. And as more disruptive technology is introduced, as more jobs disappear, people are just going to have fewer options outside of the folks that are already going to be retired. But it's not just going to be younger generations. It's going to be all generations. And I just don't see how you get around that while you're actively contributing to it and also...
Wow, it's the 3 most popular, actually did good AAAs. Who would have thought, Century? Those are games that appeal to a more select group of people. It didn't do everything.
You know, I brought this up last year, but we've seen video game piracy, especially in South America, just explode over the last couple of years.
I'm not saying he's the owner of truth. He just says a lot of things I agree with.
Of other countries as well, and I think that's going to be coming here too. And I think there's 3 leading factors. 1, games are far too expensive.
Far too expensive.
And then they're also having their access revoked, removed. Games are just becoming less available. We've seen games completely de-indexed from a lot of stores in some cases. You know, people are in this battle right now for video game ownership as well.
I've never seen him do anything hypocritical.
And the other thing is too, is that just a lot of games aren't very good anymore, especially from AAA. And when you
if he's wrong, he usually eats his words. He admits it.
You're not going to really want to spend money on it, so you might try to find another way to be able to check it out or experience it or see if you'd actually like it. And I'm predicting that a lot more people are just going to be sailing the 7 seas when it comes to some of this stuff. Just the easiest way to be able to get around it. You know, well, I think that they believe that free-to-play is going to be the best option for them because that's going to be able to avoid the whole, well, oh, people aren't making money, that's fine. You can play our games for free, and then there's only...
And then they're going to push you to pay for microtransactions, which is more expensive than just outright buying the game.
$2 or $3 or $5 or $20 or $100 that you can spend on our game. I think that people really like their single-player games. I think they like their one-off co-op experiences, something that they're not going to constantly play and turn into a lifestyle or anything like that. And we used to have those kind of games. We used to have those games of quality and affordability in AAA that offer those one-off experiences, and we see less and less of them every single year. You know, back in the early 2000s and early and mid to late 2000s, We had games like Kane and Lynch.
He's not trying to convince you. He's just explaining to you.
And Army of Two. We had Burnout and Crazy Taxi and stuff like that.
And he's right. We had Burnout, Crazy Taxi, Driver. We had all kinds of decent games that are in the genres you like that didn't have all these extra strings attached. That got these strings attached because the people got too greedy.
But a lot of that stuff is gone now. And people really like their self-contained experiences. They used to be affordable. They used to be around. And now the only one that's delivering them is indie. How do you compete with that? I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy that a lot of these companies haven't jumped on to the trend with some of these indie games. They keep following each other and running around in circles rather than paying attention to what some of these guys are doing. And, you know, just giving their studios something a little bit more controlled, a little bit more realistic to make, something that's actually going to be able to reach people for a solid price. I'll give some credit where credit is due. Xbox, at least with Obsidian, they let them make Grounded or Pentiment. If those guys make, what was it? I wrote it down somewhere. Oh, Hi-Fi Rush. They let them make that, but then they just got rid of the studio afterwards. EA invests money into games like It Takes Two and Split Fiction, but at the exact same time, this is just like a couple of games, and these guys are just not doing this kind of stuff at scale where they totally could and could be raking in a ton of money right now.
Like, some of these AAA games would be so good if they just stop trying to push certain things. Like, a lot of people will bash me for saying that Fortnite is its own thing. Fortnite is not the majority of what people want. I'm sorry. It was barely that. It was barely good when they did the Battle Royale thing. I liked the zombie killer mode. The mode that was actually supposed to be the main game. But I don't complain that much. It's fine, sure. They found a formula that worked way better. They went with it. That's fine. It's not my game anymore. The issue is they just tried to appeal to everyone, and now it's really just a kid's game. I see someone older playing Fortnite, and I'm like, what appeals to you here? Because, like, I'm okay with Fortnite doing it because that's just their thing. But then I see Call of Duty putting in, like, Beavis and Butthead and stuff, and I'm like, what? Aren't you supposed to be a realistic military shooter? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And what people don't realize is we haven't had an actually decent Battle Royale. Because Battle Royale was actually an attempt to do the Hunger Games. But no one's actually made a good one of those. I've yet to see one that actually did the formula where like you all started in areas and like you fought around the islands and stuff. That would be cool. But it's all this like, get to the center of the circle. And fight your way with randomized drops and stuff. After a certain point, you push away the shooter guys because all this building mechanics are added. And then after a certain point there, you've pushed away all the people that like a serious shooter because you've added all these superpowers and dancing grenades and all this other stuff to the point where it's just kids, really. There are some adults and some like older people playing it. But that's just because they are like wacky and stuff. And I don't blame them for that. But like at the same time, really your main appeal is to kids. And you have to hope the parents pay for the skins for the kids.
I don't know.
Which a smart parent's not
Maybe I
doing.
just don't understand anything. Maybe that's what
Except for on Christmas and
Anyway,
stuff.
Tell me what you guys think. I am tired. I'm also sick, I think. I think I have a head cold right now. There's something going on with my sinuses. I'm going to go to bed. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, share the video with your friends, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, and catch me when I'm not sick. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Catch you in the next one.
Boy! Family! 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 We love us a legendary drops. We love them.